So he says, "We will see you post game." Obviously, in reference to the Colorado K-State video, we put out a few this week. Then you clap back and say all the stuff you're talking about. Chris, just walk me through this chat here, if you will.
Yeah, I feel like I'm breaking down film here. Actually, I released this video, Christian, because I had enough of the Colorado man. Okay, and what I should say is Dion meat writers, and it's gotten to a point now, Christian, where if you don't tell them they're going 100-0 or winning every single week by 100-0, you don't watch football. You don't know what you're talking about, or find out that I'm from Nebraska, right? Which is obviously obvious, but. Yeah, I don't know if this guy, I did, by the way, wrap this up. He did mention that again. He's like, said something about, I'll be back here Sunday, bro. And I said, well, this isn't a dating app. I mean, I don't know if he was, alluding to like meeting up or what he wanted, but yeah, Christian, I don't know. These people are crazy, man. They're like a clan. Not a good one. I don't know what else to say to the Colorado man anymore, bro. I mean, just, yeah. I like the fact that somebody put here bragging about a loss. Yeah, I mean, what's that all about? You got beat by, you got skull-drugged by Nebraska in one half, and they still beat you.
This is right here. Bragging about a loss is probably one of the stupidest things I've heard. I guess at the end of the season, Colorado can celebrate all the moral victories. Yeah, I mean, the thing I keep hearing, from most Colorado fans in this, Chris, is that we don't let anybody score in the second half. Well, that's great. I guess they learned a lesson after the Stanford game last year where they were up, what was it, like 31-7 or some stupid shit like that, or nothing.
Yeah.
They let Stanford come back.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, they'll make up any excuse they can. Like, I beat the hell out of these guys as far as this whole shutting down Central Florida's run game. You know what I mean? And they still want to argue about it. It's like, you're not some elite defense, man. They're 87th in total defense. That's the only number I really care about. That's not even the top 66% in the country, Christian. There's 134 teams. I don't know if they don't know how to do math, and if they could, and I'm not saying they can, they still can't grasp the fact that they're not an elite defense. Oh, and their excuses, Christian, not to get stuck on it, but their excuses, well, you talk about last year's team. You started out, 4-1 last year? Same shit.
Won last year. They talk about, by the way, K-State hasn't played a defense like Colorado. What about BYU? I'm pretty sure they have a pretty good defense, don't they?
Yeah, BYU's not a bad team. I'm not going to say they're a roll beater because it is the Big 12, but BYU, that game was weird. Now, K-State, literally doubled BYU's total offense in that game, but they had 3 turnovers. That's what cost them, all inside their own 20-yard line. But BYU has looked fairly impressive. I think they're rated 14th now in the nation, which is crazy for BYU. But yeah, I don't understand. Colorado made that excuse too, Christian. Not to keep going about this, but they kept talking about how K-State hasn't played anybody, and I'm thinking, well, who's Colorado played?
It looks like they played North Dakota State, which is, last time memory serves me, is not a Division I football program of the FBS variety. They played you guys, in which they looked like dog shit and got walked right out of that game. Colorado State, who's Colorado State. Baylor, who's one of the worst teams in the Big 12. And then UCF, who is having their own struggles this year as well. So it's the Big 12 being the Big 12, and they're getting into, we touched on it. If they kind of come in with this sort of bravado, this sort of mentality, I know they've got 4 wins already. They may not make it to a bowl game. K-State isn't going to be easy. Arizona's not going to be easy. Cincinnati looks halfway competent. Texas Tech, I don't think, is a bad team. Utah, still a good team, regardless of whoever they trot out there. Kansas, again, that could be a win, but who knows at this point? I mean, trying to pick the Big 12 is like throwing a dart at a dartboard, like we always say. And then you end the year off against Oklahoma State. They're not winning that.
Yeah, no, and they're not. I don't, like I said, I mean, there's a way that, hey, Colorado wins 8 or 9 games or something. I mean, this is the Big 12. We say it every offseason, and you guys in the chat know this. It's like throwing a dart at a dartboard, man. I mean, nobody knows who's going to win this conference. By the way, they're only getting 1 playoff team in, the Big 12. So that opens the door to what? A bunch of SEC schools, maybe potentially a couple Big 10 teams, USC maybe, if they pull their head out of their ass, Penn State, some of those teams. Even Nebraska, if they decide to pull their head out of their ass here next week. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just weird, dude. It's weird with Colorado. I don't understand these people. Yeah, they got their hands full coming up here. It's not like they're going to be favored in every one of these games.
No, completely agree. Completely agree. I only want to talk about one more thing when it comes to this.
Oh boy,
you may have already covered it. Can't stop a nosebleed. When referring to Colorado's run defense, let me know you don't watch college football. Colorado has one of the top run defenses in the country. That's a little interesting.
The amount of drugs you have to do to say something like that.
Only averaging 4 yards per carry. What is this, the 85 Bears?
Man, the Colorado man's desperate, Christian.
I want to show one more thing here. We put out a video about Ohio State versus Oregon. I thought this was funny. It was one of the funniest things I've seen all weekend. Ohio State and Oregon fans started just going back and forth in the comment sections. If you're going to ask who has Ohio State played, you must ask, why is Oregon struggling to beat Idaho and Boise State? Oregon hasn't played nobody, and they look bad at it. Iowa would beat every team Oregon has played so far. Boise State would dog walk Iowa. And literally, they're getting into these heated debates in the chat of the video we put out about whose teams that they beat that nobody gives a shit about, who would beat the rest of their schedule. I don't even understand what we're doing at this point.
Well, it's that Team A would beat Team B if Team C had to play Team A, right? They're one of those people. Like, it's like none of that shit matters, you know? Like, I had to laugh. Like I said, I knew this video was going to catch a lot of attention strictly just because it's Ohio State and Oregon. I mean, they're both undefeated. They're ranked 2 and 3 in the country. I mean, everybody expects this game to be a good game. It should be. I hope it is. And then you got the far, I call them the far left Ohio State fans, Christian. You saw a few of them in there, Ohio State by 4 touchdowns, you know. I hope these guys are putting their money where their mouth is.
Oh my gosh. I want to talk about this. Have you heard anything about Kirby Smart supposedly being the Jets' top choice? So I saw something about that on Facebook, but that was from a page called College Football Trolls.
Yeah, I saw the same one. Christian, you're the Georgia Bulldog resident man here. I mean, is there any truth to this?
If it is, I mean, I don't know if you guys have been reading the news a lot lately, but we've just had our 8th player arrested this year. So something's got to change. I'm just going to put it that way. Something's got to change. Listen, I appreciate Kirby. I appreciate the 2 national championships and everything he's done about, kind of getting over that hump. But there is 2 things right now that are major detractors for me, and that is the arrests, because that is a off-field distraction that we do not need, and that is the inability to beat Alabama. So, that's kind of got to get cleaned up. And if Kirby can't clean it up, then go to the Jets. And, we'd hate to see you go, but hate to see it.
Yeah, I don't think Kirby's leaving. I don't. He might be their top choice. I don't know how much truth there is to that. I saw the same people that posted it, and I kind of laughed. Kirby's never coached the NFL, has he, at any point in his career, even as like an assistant or anything? I know he wasn't a head coach.
I don't believe he has.
Okay.
Don't believe he has. Chris, we'll kind of jump into some of this, though. NC2A replacing the National Letter of Intent for recruits, not NIL, but the National Letter of Intents for recruits. Basically, the thing that locks you in when you commit. I think they're basically doing away with this, but sort of adding another system with this that they tie into the NIL that pretty much once you go to the portal, you can talk with whoever you want, but I don't know. It's basically, by reading through it, it just sounds like it's the same shit that's already been going on. They're just kind of doing away with the NLI portion of it.
Yeah.
More of a contract kind of thing, I guess.
Fair enough. Yeah, exactly. I would agree with what you just said 100% there.
Florida State losing their starting linebacker, who was the heart and soul of that defense for the rest of the season. That sucks for them, but honestly, at this point, I don't even think it really matters.
Yeah, Florida State is they're down bad. I don't want to get stuck on Florida State, but boy, that program is in shambles right now.
Yeah, it's not good to be a Florida State man. Maybe that's where Dion will end up next year, and we'll go from there.
Said he would never coach there. He's pissed off at Florida State. But money talks.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers said he didn't have anything to do with Saleh getting fired, and here we are.
You watched that today?
Yeah, I watched a little bit about that.
What a waste of 40 fucking minutes of my life. Jesus.
Yeah. They also were shortening the transfer portal window. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I full send agree with that. So, but there's still a spring and a fall window. I think they just shortened the fall window to like basically the end of December. So, we'll see how that kind of plays into it, I guess. I want to talk about something, Chris. We're gonna kind of look back at some of the games that happened this week. The Alabama defensive back at the end of the game that had like 3 or 4 things that he did in a matter of about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
would that have happened? Sorry, go ahead.
No. Sorry, I know you were going with this because we talked about it a little bit. No, that would not have happened under Nick Saban. If it did, he'd been off the team. I guarantee it. That was really uncharacteristic to see that out of an Alabama team, whether it's DeBoer, the head coach, or whatever, dude. But he was throwing a temper tantrum out there, kicking the ball when the ref put it down and screaming and jumping up and down. I mean, that looked like a 2-year-old without his pacifier.
It was ugly. It was really ugly. And I just want to touch base on some of the games. I want to touch base with some of the games that happened this weekend. Bama obviously loses to Vanderbilt. A lot of people are talking about how Alabama shit the bed in this one, and I actually think that you touched on this, Chris. We've talked about this a little bit off air, but I actually think Vanderbilt just beat them. Like every phase of the game, pretty much they beat them.
I thought so. They created some awesome turnovers in that game. Vandy's offense, man, moved the ball. Christian very easily in that game. What's the kid's name? The quarterback,
Diego Pavia,
the kid from New Mexico State. Man, he's a dog. He played awesome, dude. They had no answer for him on the ground, dude. I was very, very impressed with Vanderbilt. Like I said, I think me and you realized after about week 2 that Vandy was a lot better team than what we thought, and they're not like the bottom feeder of the SEC this year. And I don't know. Do you think Alabama took them lightly, Christian? I mean, just off the big emotional win, the craziest game we've seen all year against Georgia?
Yeah, I think it just was Bama took them lightly. They were riding that. I mean, that game against Georgia, I mean, that was kind of an emotional roller coaster for Alabama. I mean, they had to exhaust everything they could to really finish that game off. And then coming into the next week, you play Vanderbilt, it was an early kick, wasn't it? If I remember right, it was an early kick game. It just at Vanderbilt, I mean, it was just, I think it was just a big letdown spot. Vandy came into it, had the perfect game plan, and just was able to kind of their foot on the throat against Alabama, man. And it was a great game. We always cheer for Vandy over here. Obviously, we want them to do good. We don't really want to see them win the SEC. I don't know if we're ready for that yet. Right?
Yeah, no, it was. What was it, Christian? Not to interrupt you, but was that their first win ever over a top 5 team? Is that correct? Ever?
I believe so. Yeah, I mean, definitely it was their first win over the number 1 team in the country. They were 0-60, I believe, into this game. But yeah, I mean, so hats off to Vanderbilt. Doing it big, representing the SEC, and hey, if they don't win another game this year, you know what? At least they get that. So I think they'll win some more games though, for sure.
Yeah, no, crazy week of college football last week.
Iowa, for moral victories, it was 0-7 at halftime, and they remembered that they have the best team money can buy in college football, and did what they needed to do in the second half.
Yeah, Jeremiah Smith took over and just I don't know, Boston guys right and left.
Tennessee taking on Arkansas. You want to talk about a letdown of a game?
Yeah, I had the Tennessee -13, and I feel like I was on the spectrum after that game. Tennessee, I wish we had some fans on the show that were Tennessee fans, because we did a video a couple weeks ago, Christian. Boy, they were letting us know that they were going to drop 40, 50 points on everybody this year. And boy, Arkansas, I honestly thought Sam Pittman outcoached Heupel. I do in that game. I really do.
No, I agree with you. I mean, that offense just was very stagnant. Just looked like it just was slowed down to like a halt. I mean, it was Arkansas did what they needed to do. I mean, 19 points again. I think last year that was the big thing, saving grace for Arkansas was their. This year it's been all about their offense, and the defense actually looked like it came to play in that one, Tennessee. So hats off to them. By the way, before we go any further, yeah, do say some prayers out for Florida. And 2 hurricanes in less than a month.
Yeah, Christian, pull your mic a little closer, brother. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, sir. A lot better. But yeah, no. Florida's down bad over there, man. Jesus, it's been rough. I've seen some videos, and even Georgia got hit too. It looks like parts of Georgia pretty badly too, man. That's a wicked time of year, man.
Yeah, like those parts of the coast there have been pretty affected. I mean, so our heart goes out and our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody out there that's being affected by the hurricane. So hopefully everybody's doing all right. Georgia took care of Auburn. I mean, that was an ugly game too. I think it was closer than what the final score really indicated there. So, but yeah, Georgia did what they needed to do. So, in this college football season, hey, just at this, I know we were judging teams off of going into this week on style points and how they won and everything, and after this week, shit, just get a win.
Yeah, Texas probably had it the best. They didn't have to play because anybody else that was ranked inside the top 10 pretty much lost.
Penn State, taking care of business against UCLA. I want to talk about this one. Miami at Cal.
Ooh, yeah.
Should I say the referees versus Cal?
Oh, here we go.
Dude, second week in a row. I mean, look, go back, watch those games. I'm telling you right now, there was so many missed calls on Miami that I'm telling you, the ACC realizes what they are, and they know they need to keep Miami undefeated.
There were some bad calls, but I also think, look, I think this year in college football, I think the reffing has been piss poor across a majority of games. And the Nebraska guys in the chat can let you know. I mean, it's been bad over in Nebraska. It's been bad all across college football. I don't want to. I don't know. It'd break my heart if that's actually going on, trying to make Miami undefeated. If that shit really does exist, I hope not. Miami looks like last year's Florida State. That's what they look like to me. They're going to go undefeated in the regular season. Nothing against Cam Ward because he's fucking amazing, but their defense, boy, has gotten exposed the last 2 weeks against Virginia Tech and a Cal team that I'm surprised Cal could put up that kind of numbers, man. They hadn't scored over 20 pretty much the whole entire year.
Didn't somebody pick Cal on this show to win?
Yeah, that would have been you. You know me. I ain't taking the Gold Bears, bro.
Oh, I know, and I'm not going to celebrate moral victories. I'm going to sound like a fucking Colorado fan.
No, it was a good game. Like I said, it was. That was a great game. It was a hell of a comeback. Refs or not, but yeah, if you're a Golden Bears fan, dude, that had to be rough. Just watching that, the way, I mean, they were up. What was it, by 25 with 8 minutes left in the third quarter or something like that? It's a tough way to lose, man.
As a resident Falcon fan over here, I feel their pain. It doesn't get easier, by the way. Chris, I want to talk about this one. Mizzou versus Texas A&M. Are you more impressed with Texas A&M or more disappointed with Missouri?
100% disappointed with Missouri. I thought this team, and I'm not writing Missouri off yet. You are going to hear about them at the end of the year because their schedule is so easy as far as the SEC goes. But I watched this whole entire game, as painful as it was. And Mizzou, to me, just they had the third-rated defense going into this game, Christian, and made Connor Weigman look like a god out there. Let alone, even if I thought A&M was going to score that amount of points, which is still crazy, I thought Missouri could answer. I know A&M's and Mike Elko, he's all about defense, but boy, Christian, it was ugly. I mean, they couldn't get anything going, anything at all.
No, they really couldn't. And like you said, I mean, I know Weigman's been out for a while, dealing with that injury, but he came back and I don't know what happened since, those 3-4 weeks he's been out, but he looked like he could throw the football. They could have used that the first week, by the way. Would this be a whole different story here? They wouldn't be ranked 25. They'd probably be they'd probably be a top 7 team at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was ugly by Missouri. Like I said, I'm not going to write Missouri off just yet. A&M schedule going forward looks pretty easy up until Texas at the end of the year. A&M is one of those teams right now. A lot of people think they could squeeze into the 12 team.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Elko, man, doing some
Yeah.
big things over there for A&M.
Yeah.
Michigan, USC. I know obviously Michigan took on Washington, USC took on Minnesota. Kind of the same thing for me here for both these teams. Just kind of shit the bed on the road. I mean, I get it's on the road, but still, if you're Michigan and USC, you got to take care of business. You got to handle it. These are both teams that we heard all offseason about what they're supposed to be, you know, how good they're supposed to be. I'll tell you this: neither one of those teams am I really, especially Michigan. I'm not sold on the Michigan quarterback situation whatsoever. Again, USC. I don't know exactly what the issue is there.
I'll talk about Michigan real quick. No, Michigan, they brought in Warren, and then they moved the ball right down the field. And if Michigan, I mean, he sucks, dude. For a guy that's played 5 or 6 years, he's been on the I know he was a walk-on, right? And which is a great story. But Jesus, man, they struggle. And I'm not saying Washington is a bad team, but I mean, Rutgers beat Washington just the week before, and their defense was terrible. And Michigan, who's supposed to be able to run the football, didn't run it that well. It was just, yeah, I'm disappointed in Michigan. On the USC, I thought this game was going to be close. Just with Minnesota being Minnesota and the way they are at certain times of the year. And they seem to always get better throughout the year, depending on your definition of getting better. But I thought USC still was going to win that football game. Miller Moss did not play very well. He had about a 50% completion percentage. Christian threw 2 interceptions, only had 1 touchdown for a USC offense under Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely. I was gonna say, is it all on Miller Moss? Is the offensive line like what exactly is it? I mean, is it a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. They actually ran the ball almost for 200 yards in that game against Minnesota, who usually has a really stout defense, but they costly turnovers. Christian, you always know we talk about it. You know, team that turns the ball over the most usually loses.
Ole Miss, putting out the feel good story that is South Carolina 27-3. Ole Miss probably going to play a little pissed off, a little fired up. So good for them, making it more interesting this week as they take on LSU. And we get to Clemson and Florida State. Kind of a weird score. What is the ACC? Can somebody tell me what the ACC is at this point?
What I can tell you is that there's about 2 teams, and that's about it. That's Miami and Clemson. I do believe they play each other here shortly. Outside of that, it's the Big 12 reincarnated.
The Big 12 reincarnated. Yeah, I mean, all these teams wanted to jump ship and go to the Big 12 this year, or the Big 10, or the SEC, and then now I think that they realized that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of teams have looked not very good, I guess, if you want to say that. Like Louisville is a team that hasn't done anything. Virginia Tech was supposed to be a dark horse. Who am I missing? Obviously, Florida State is a dumpster fire. Where's your boys from Georgia Tech? Your little brother. What are they doing?
Oh God, they're well. Let me tell you what they're doing. When the chips are against them, they do good. When they're favored, forget about it.
What's another team? Syracuse. They did beat UNLV, a ranked team, last week, so they did pull that off. But they also lost to, who the hell was it? Stanford? I mean, come on, man. 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, I don't know what the ACC is. I mean, Korn said it best, absolute crap conference. It's pretty spot on. The ACC and the Big 12, once again, ACC might only get 1 team in, too. And like I said, that leaves the door open, guys, for a ton of SEC schools and some Big 10 schools that we didn't think maybe would get in.
What about a SMU? Second right now in the ACC. Only loss was to BYU.
Yeah, they've been winning. This was a team that everybody was very high on this year. And boy, you watched that first game against New Mexico or whoever the hell they played, and they were down by like how many in the second half, came back and won against the bad New Mexico team. I'm with you. Maybe SMU, I guess. I kind of forget about them just because how shitty they look. They've been looking better. I don't know if they play, and I don't think they play some of the big dogs, right? They don't play Miami. I don't even think they play Clemson this year either.
Let's take a look at their schedule real quick. I want to dive into this. Yeah, they play beat Louisville, play Stanford, at Duke, Pitt, Boston College, Virginia count. Dude, SMU could fuck around and win. I'm telling you. I know that. Hey, that Pitt game, if they go into that and Pitt's still undefeated, which who the hell does Pitt play? That's the other question.
Well, Pitt hasn't played really anybody
at home. Syracuse at home. Then they travel to take on it. Yeah, I mean, they should. Clemson. They should.
Yeah, Louisville, Boston College. I don't think they're going to get through that schedule all the way. But I'm with you. I know. I forget about Pitt too. ACC is a weird conference.
No, it definitely is. It's Pitt won one game last year, and that was against, was it Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Notre Dame. Yeah, I think it was Notre Dame. It was Louisville. I can't remember, but yeah, it was somebody they weren't even remotely supposed to beat. It was getting off that tangent.
Yeah.
Indiana.
Woo.
Blew the doors off of Northwestern.
I'm telling you, man, Indiana, this game next week, I know it's not this week, but next week against Nebraska, we're going to have our hands full there. They can score some points. If I'm not mistaken, they are like top 10 in rushing and passing offense, points per game. I know they haven't played like a brutal schedule by any means. That'll be their first big test, will be us, but it's going to be one of the better offenses since Colorado that we faced. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the game's at Nebraska. Time to be detailed. Is it going to be, what are we going to get, 4 night? Well, no. We're going to get another night game, you think?
I bet they don't. I bet they push it to about 2:30. That would be my guess. I think they actually released that the other day, and I don't remember what time it was. I'm with Corn there. If we could somehow hold them under 21 points, I know our defense has been playing well. I agree, but I don't know if we can, man. They've been pretty electric on offense.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, we tried to hold them under 21. I mean, I don't think they've been held under 21 points all year long, if memory serves me correct. 31-77, Western Illinois, but 42, 52, 42, 40. Points. Yeah. I think that they will score, I don't know, 30, 28, 30 points.
I will say this. We'll be the best defensive team they've played so far too. So maybe you meet in the middle there. I'm more concerned about Nebraska's offense, to be 100% honest with you in this game. Not that Indiana has like a world-beating defense, but we only play one half. Not to keep it parked here about Nebraska, but you look at the stats, guys. It's ugly as far as Nebraska full game. They've really yet to play one all season.
Chris, I don't know how to explain this any more than I can. Armed services need your help. They need your support. They need both of us they need me to re-enlist. They need you to enlist because, by God, their Navy and Army are both undefeated.
I had heard last week when they both won something about the first time ever both those schools were undefeated at this point in the season, which is great for both of them. I will say I have watched both of them play a little bit. They still obviously run the old school option football, They're pretty damn good, though, and they can throw the ball a little bit. They have gotten better. I know we used to always point laugh, because they couldn't complete a 10-yard pass, but not bad teams, man. One of those teams I think is going to end up – they're going to be fighting over Boise State on who gets into that 12-team playoff maybe at the end of the year, that one spot.
I didn't even see this. Tulane beat UAB 71-20.
Yeah, just complete ass whooping.
Jalen Kettner Johnson out there.
Yeah. On the hot seat.
Just looking at it again. Virginia Tech finally waking up, beating Stanford.
Like the Miami game, man. Might have pissed them off a little bit.
Yeah, if you're betting who's Stanford play this week, Notre Dame?
Yeah, don't give me a spiel on how you think Stanford's gonna knock off your Fighting Irish.
I don't think that at all. What I think is that if you're going to bet this game and you're going to think Notre Dame's going to come out and wax them, I just have remember, Notre Dame lost to NIU. I understand it was early in the season, but I don't know. Stanford, I'm not saying, I'm not going to sit here and say Notre Dame's going to beat Stanford. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying if you go into this game and think, Notre Dame's going to blow them out or whatever, they're going to cover. I don't know. I think Stanford would give them, I think Stanford's going to give them all they can handle. I don't think they win, but I think it'll be a competitive game.
Okay. Oh boy.
Oh God. App State, Marshall. What's going on at App State there?
Times are tough. Ever since Clemson beat the soul and will to live out of them a couple weeks ago, App State has fallen off a map, my man.
Yeah, let's talk about the Nebraska Rutgers game here for a second, Chris. I want to touch base on that.
I don't want to.
14-7. Has football regressed? Actually,
go ahead.
I want to touch it here, right? The thing that I'm the most curious about for you guys, Raiola. He looked good. He's had a lot of hype. One of the things is, I mean, he hasn't played bad, I don't think. It's just the rushing attack for you guys hasn't really been there, I feel like. And that's probably put a lot more pressure on him.
Yeah, well, when you're 90th in the country in rushing, yeah, that's a problem. That's where we're at. It's been ugly. I don't understand why this offensive line, this is the same offensive line essentially that was number 2 in the Big Ten in rushing last year, top 12 in the country, cannot run the effing football. I don't understand. It's not. I don't think our backs are bad. I really don't. I think they're pretty legit. Nebraska has a problem. And like I just mentioned, they can't play a second. They didn't score in the second half. I know I caught some heat last week saying Matt Rule, this falls on him. It does. I think he's getting out coached here. Now, Rutgers beat themselves in that game. They had a drop pass. They couldn't score inside our 10-yard line. Now, credit our defense. They did play very well. Bending, not breaking. I get all of that, and I'm happy about that. But there were also plays in that game where Rutgers should have scored, and this could have been a different outcome. I have a huge problem with only scoring 14 points, especially when you got Dylan Raiola back there, those receivers, and those running backs. It's I don't know what's going on. I really don't. Maybe the chat can answer those questions, but it's getting frustrating week after week after week, not seeing a full game, Christian, especially now when we got Indiana, who's undefeated, Ohio State, you got UCLA, you got USC, we got Iowa and Wisconsin. I mean, we've got to get our shit together.
No, I agree. I mean, it's the bye weeks can be good, bye weeks can be bad. It's kind of like baseball. You talk about baseball a lot of the times where, like, hey, if you're that hot team and you ride into a bye week, or a lot of baseball teams, they want to play in the opening round. They don't want to take the break because it kind of whatever momentum they have just gets right out the window. They lose it. They lose their mojo, as Austin Powers says. So sometimes a bye is good. Sometimes a bye week, if you're hot, kind of doesn't do good, right? So we're going to see that against Nebraska and Indiana. I mean, Indiana is really hot right now. Maybe the bye week, screws them up. Maybe Nebraska uses this to get right, get healthy, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. I just, like I said, that Rutgers game, there was no doubt in my mind Nebraska should have won that football game 35-10. Now, I don't play woulda, coulda, shoulda. I mean, what happened? Your record is what it says you are, and the points you put up is what you put up. But like I said, as far as me going forward now, I don't have a ton of confidence going into this Indiana game. Like I just mentioned, we are going to have to score some points in this. Indiana is going to score in this game. I promise you. I know it's at Nebraska. I get all of that, but they're going to score some points here. We are going to have to play 2 halves of football. I guarantee it. If we don't, this thing will be over at halftime. I truly believe that. So I hope you're right, Christian. I think the bye week probably does hurt Indiana a little bit because they've been red hot. I mean, they've been red hot. Hopefully this maybe changes our momentum and we get some cohesion on offense going forward here.
2 halves. Football there. I like it.
Yes.
West Virginia taking on Oklahoma State.
You're right. This game is not at Nebraska. You're right. It's the typo on ESPN. I thought this game was at Indiana. So.
Is it? It's at
Indiana?
Remember
we did this? Yeah. Remember we did this on our preview of Nebraska earlier this year. And actually me and you were discussing that. It's like, I don't know why they have that on ESPN at Nebraska. It is actually at Indiana.
I thought it was at Indiana. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You can't trust it for shit. West Virginia taking on Oklahoma State. West Virginia beat the doors off them. West Virginia finally came to play. Oklahoma State, the hype is dead.
They're, Oklahoma State, they can pack it in. It looks like they have already.
We'll talk about a team that hasn't packed it in yet, and that's Florida. Somehow they haven't packed it in yet.
No, but they're about ready to when they get into this gauntlet of this brutal ass schedule coming up. Now, I hats off to Florida. We haven't talked about them much. They've done what they needed to do the last 2 weeks, right? Christian was at Mississippi State. They beat them, and they turned around and beat Central Florida, who I'm more disappointed in Central Florida. Nothing against Florida fans, but Central Florida's not a very good football team this year. But hey, Florida did what it needed to do. 24-13. You got to take the win, especially in an in-state rival.
Yeah, I'll say this. I get it. I understand. Obviously, Florida fans are happy that they beat UCF, but they're not. It's not a moral victory, right? At the same time, you want to keep winning. You want to use this for momentum. I'm just saying, like when they lost to, it was a couple of weeks ago. Who they
A&M?
lost to? Was it A&M? Yeah, when they started that true freshman, or not true freshman. When they started the freshman Marcel Reed against them. Everybody won Napier gone. It was fire Billy. Let's get rid of him. Let's just do it now. He responded. 2 good wins. You know what I mean? Over Mississippi State, who is one of the worst teams in the SEC this year, and then UCF, a team that I thought, would be competitive, and they were competitive in the game. But Florida really, took away the run game there. They did what they needed to do, and so they're showing signs of improvement. Is that going to matter this week against Tennessee on the road? That's a tough task, especially after Tennessee's coming off a loss to Arkansas. I don't know. I'm not even going to try to sound like a hater. I don't know.
I think this was the worst thing that could have happened to Florida. If Tennessee would have won this football game against Arkansas, I think Florida would have a better chance of pulling the upset. Now that Tennessee lost, you know how you see that week to week. Tennessee's got to come straight now because, the SEC is up for grabs now. There's a shit ton of teams sitting there at 4-5-1.
Yeah. Yeah, it was at Texas A&M. They're number 1 in the conference right now?
Undefeated, 3-0.
Undefeated.
In the conference.
Duke was undefeated going on the road to take on Georgia Tech, and they shit the bed. Now, I did say Georgia Tech was going to win that game just because expectations.
Yeah, your little brother did what they needed to do. They got Notre Dame coming up, though. Back will be against the wall. Maybe they'll pull the upset.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Listen, this sounds terrible. I have more faith in Army making it a closer game than Georgia Tech.
Oh, get out of here.
Well, where's the game at? Is it at South Bend?
No.
Well, I can't trust ESPN, but it says that it's at home. So,
come on, man. Have some faith in your little brother, the nerds down there at Georgia Tech. Come on now. Hey, I want to talk about a team. Can I talk about a game?
Yeah.
That I lost some money on that I have a fucking problem with is Kansas. Why are they 1-5? This was a team that a Kansas man told me all year that was going to win the Big 12. Literally bringing everybody back. Lance Leopold's the greatest thing since sliced bread. What the hell are they doing, man? They lost to Arizona State. Arizona State has one player. That's that white running back there, Scattleboo or whatever the hell his name is. And they give up 35 points. And I don't get it, man. I'm so pissed off. Kansas is my new Texas Tech of last year. That's what Kansas is. Jesus.
Yeah, I think Biff Poggi is still coaching over there at Charlotte.
God, yeah.
It's tough. It's tough right now because I feel like the second that you start to say I'm going to fade Kansas and bet against them,
they're
going to win.
They're good, because I put a little money on this year, like an idiot. I sprinkled a little bit of money on Kansas potentially winning the Big 12, and that ain't happening. They're not going to make a bowl game.
You want to talk about a team that's been really one-dimensional, who has really regressed, who told us enlisted their entire starting defense as well. That is Arizona.
You just won't let this go, will you?
No, I won't. No, I can't. I think it was Arizona and then K-State got on. There was 2 separate people got on our season preview and prediction video and listed the entire defense.
Yeah,
and that defense, by the way, has been okay, but at the same time, their offense has been so bad, so one-dimensional.
Yeah, Arizona, honestly, FIFA and what's our boy T-Mac over there, one of the best wide receivers in the country. He might be the best. They probably should have went to the NFL last year. They are, you said it best. They're so one-dimensional. They have no running game. They have no other wide receiver. The defense hasn't been very good, as me and you alluded to this offseason. And tried to get tore up in the comments with it. Yeah, I'm with you. Arizona's no Jed Fish there. That team was kind of I think an outlier year last year when they won 10 games last season. They beat Oklahoma in a bowl game. They had a really good year last year. They were a good team.
They should have went to Auburn.
Yeah. Don't even get Christ. This guy.
Chris is out here bullying, college age kids because they're losing money.
Oh,
making them give press conferences and shit.
Payne Thorne and me are gonna have a talk, bro, because I did put some money on Auburn. You remember that game against Cal? I called you during that game, and I was screaming at you that Peyton Thorne was the worst quarterback I have seen since JT Daniels. So, yeah.
If you're not aware, immediately following that game, they interviewed him, and I believe he said something along the lines of like, people got a hold of my Venmo account and keep sending refund requests to me because of their sports betting. And it just sparked this whole thing about like how sports bettors are very abusive to college athletes. And I just think the whole thing is very comical because they're getting paid. So, I mean, imagine the guy that goes down the road that collects trash that has to put up with bullshit all day. You know what I mean? That it literally is like gets yelled at because they didn't pick up the trash right. Everybody to some degree, I guess, has a little bit of abuse in their life. We're not trying to condone that here, but Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? At least beat Cal, you know what I mean? And then we won't talk shit or ask for our money back.
Yeah, can he not turn the ball over 4 times a game? That's what I ask.
Yeah.
God damn, I'm gonna go off here. I can't believe you brought it up. You knew better. I think you wanted to see me go freaking nuclear over here. God, that shit drives me nuts, man. It just costly turnovers and for no reason. Any team for that matter.
Well, Chris, we've hit the 40-minute mark. It's 8:40 by God. So yeah. I think this is a good first show back, first Wednesday show in a long time. So we're gonna keep trying to do this. Probably run this late slot here. Any closing remarks, Chris, before we get off here?
No, I do appreciate the guys that showed up. Appreciate that. Dropping the chat. Corn, Mike, good to see you guys over from Sports Nightly. Hopefully no garbage cans are near Chris. Yeah, no shit. I'm hoping I don't have to kick one this upcoming weekend against Indiana. I about broke my remote in the Illinois game. So, I'm with you guys. I do appreciate you guys showing up, though. Gator swag. Go Gators. Christian, that's about all I got, man.
All I got as well. We'll be back on Saturday morning at 9:30 Central Time. Be there or be square. We will catch you, Cool Cat.